Welcome to the Lost Lowdown podcast 196 with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We are back, continuing our season 6 commentary series, episode 612. Everybody loves Hugo.
Yay!
It's a party because everybody loves Hugo.
Woo! I've
He's
been
my
waiting.
favorite character, and I've always loved him.
I said the same thing in my
Yeah,
head before you said it.
yeah. Well, we've always been the biggest Hugo stans.
We're such stans.
Yeah,
Oh my god, we didn't even know we were stans back when
we've
we
been
started
standing
standing.
since the beginning of the stand when Hugo took a stand.
I really want to be a stan for someone named Stan.
So you can be a stand square.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are there any good stands out there? I'm looking for
Stan
one.
Lee.
Oh yeah. I'm
Hmm.
not that big of a Stan Lee fan, no offense.
Wow, too soon. Jeez.
Too soon. Oh right, I forgot he's dead. Sorry,
Yeah.
Stan.
Jeez. Well,
Sorry,
you're not
Stan.
that sorry, clearly. We've just lost half our audience who are Marvel stands, and then the other half who can't stand to hear us say stands anymore. So, what's this
That's fair.
episode about?
Yeah, you know what? You know what? That's always a good question. It's probably even a better question than usual this time.
Hmm.
Um, Let me think of like what I can even remember. So, I believe this is the episode with the Michael stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So that'll be fun. We've been complaining about that fairly often this season. So that'll all come to fruition here, where we get our big explanation for the whispers and
Hmm.
this whole idea like the ghosts have this agenda,
Hmm.
like I don't know why they're not asked to explain. It's just like I don't know, maybe it's, I guess if you're going with Lindelof rules, it's like, well, the ghosts are just individuals and they're just doing what they think is right, or something. And so
Hmm.
maybe it's just Michael who's like, you got to stop him. But then I don't know. There was also Isabella saying that, and now
Hmm.
Materno. So it's like maybe she just thought that, but it's like you don't even know who that is. Like you only know that because you're a ghost. Like I don't know. Anyway, um, we got that, and so I think this episode is like, I think Hurley's gonna blow up the Black Rock, if I remember right. So we don't have to see that anymore.
Okay. They're getting rid of that set.
Um,
Cool.
and they're gonna, yeah, it's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna blow up the plane. Right, Richard is gonna blow up the
Hmm.
plane, and then Michael's like, no, Hurley, like someone's gonna die. Don't let him blow. That's weird though, because that makes it seem like he's actually helping the Man in Black. Anyway, um, I think that's the main plot on the island. Like I feel like it's a bit of a, one of these like mid-season episodes where not that much happens. I mean, we were talking about that last time. We're in that like listless period of the season where everyone's just kind of sitting around looking for something to do, waiting for something to happen. And technically things happen, but
Hmm.
the overall plot, I don't think really progressed very much. And all of this business with like, who's gonna blow up the plane? I'm gonna blow up the plane. No, I'm gonna blow up the plane. It's like no one even blew up the plane in the end. And like Widmore put a bomb in the plane. Like the bomb in the plane that gets used is fucking Widmore's bomb. Like he didn't even hear any of these discussions, and he's just like,
Hmm.
well, I'm gonna blow up the plane. And then, but no one even blows up the plane. I don't know. It's such a tease.
A plain tease.
And then the flash sideways is like Hurley's flash sideways. Hurley Hugo Reyes, or is it Hugo Hurley Reyes? Anyway, um, and I think like Libby's involved, and it's like they realize their deep bond that they got from knowing each other for a week and a half or whatever it was.
A 10-day.
Uh, Yeah, and yeah, it's like romance, and like Desmond is like trying to get them together or something. Like, he's on his mission to wake them all up. Maybe it ends with Desmond like running Locke over. That might be this episode. Maybe it's the next one though. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Um, maybe this one ends happily. But my memory of this is like there's just very little of interest in this episode. No offense. Um, because I think Hurley's Flash Sideways maybe suffers from a similar problem as Desmond's, um, which is that like his I mean, he does sort of develop this like leadership quality, and obviously, eventually, he's going to go on to be the Jacob, the guardian of the island and stuff. So,
Hmm.
that is sort of that is a progression, no doubt. But I feel like in terms of his like conflicts, the ones he started with, like the reasons he was broken,
Hmm.
that he had to be brought to the island, like I don't know. I feel like to a degree, maybe I'm wrong though. I don't know. Maybe Hurley is this character where like he's used in this positive way as comic relief so much, and like they don't dwell in negativity with him very much. Maybe it just seems like he's fine. I don't know. Maybe because he did like go back to the mental institution,
Hmm.
and Saeed had to come like break him out,
Hmm.
um and then like Jacob like gives him a plane ticket, and so that it's just like uh yeah, it's maybe he hasn't really dealt with
Does it?
anything.
No, he never thinks. He never says like, "Oh, I guess I wasn't cursed all along," right? Like I don't remember that ever happening.
Yeah, yeah,
Which is what
yeah,
should have happened, right? With his whole realization of the numbers and all the time travel stuff and all the stuff with Jacob in the end, like he should have come to a realization about all that stuff in the beginning and what what was the dude's name that he was
Dave.
saying, Dave, yeah, all that stuff would have been interesting for him to comment on, or at least in the Flash Sideways or something. Like it would have been nice to see how what stories they're telling right now kind of relates to that, his original issues, like you're saying, and I feel like they didn't really tie those together, so it's hard to tell what
Yeah,
they feel like his conclusion was. To me, like he gets to be leader of the island is just like a game of hot potato, and all the other players died, and like he's just left with it, and he's kind of like, well, fine, you're all right. Like no one thinks you'll be bad, like and it's kind of
yeah,
instead of it being like you earned this, it's more like you'll do.
right, right. Yeah, and maybe the reason that he doesn't fully deal with his problems is to kind of try to make it more plausible
Hmm.
that he would just commit his life to the island.
What they should have done is had Hurley, in this power vacuum left by Jack, and Sawyer and all these other the usual leaders like not being around or having other things to deal with. Like if he had ushered some sort of leadership, which he does sometimes, right? Sometimes he leads missions and or
Mhm.
whatever, and people give him things to do, and that's what's interesting, right? I mean, and maybe you could say that that's part, some of the stuff of Jacob. Oh, hey Hurley, go do this thing, right? Like, okay, I guess he did it, so maybe that was passing the test. Getting
Mhm.
the briefcase to Dogan and all that. Like,
Right.
not that that was super hard, but okay, maybe that was something.
It was something,
But yeah,
yeah.
it'd be interesting if there was more specificity with that, right? With like what his character's going through and what the point actually is, and like you said with Libby, it is a bit weird. I don't know. I feel like the show also forgets how long they were actually together. Um, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't years, guys. Um,
Yeah, I think Said and Shannon is a similar problem. It's
hmm.
just like, how deep can this really be? Like,
Yeah.
seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Some of those characters like spent years with each other, and so then I kind of get it, but
Without saying why, right? Without saying like, listen, Shannon fulfilled this specific thing that Saeed needed, and she was
right.
able to do it in that amount of time. Like that's fine if you
Yeah.
can say what that is, or if she had like saved his life, right? Like if she had jumped in front of the bullet or something,
Mhm.
right? Like, oh, he had always spent his years, you know, pining over Nadia, or torturing people and being tortured by it, but like seeing someone sacrifice for him made him fall in love with her, or whatever. Like, make something up, guys, but like say
Right.
what it is. Of course, it's called writing, and
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff would play better, right? And then again, like we talked about this in Saeed's episode a little while ago, where it's like, and then you're gonna have Nadia in the Flash sideways, and it's like, and you're still not even about Shannon. Then know, um, yet she's gonna be in the church.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I feel like they just played by TV logic or something. There was no like internal logic to who got to be in the church. It's very strange. Um
Mm-hmm.
but I think you're right that Hurley's first episode is number, so I feel like his core issue actually is thinking he's cursed. And I think you're
Mm-hmm.
right that they never. I do think there's a line when he's in the car with Jacob where he says something like that, and Jacob's like, "What if it's not a curse? What if it's a blessing?" Or
Mm-hmm.
he says
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I think that's the closest they get. It isn't clear that Hurley fully takes that in or believes it. I guess you know he has in this he will in this episode, and he did in Abaternal, and I guess before too with Jacob, like he's sort of using his power in an effective way, like to relaying messages and taking messages, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
um using them to guide what he's doing. So there's sort of a tell, um not show, or yeah, I don't know, like they don't tell, but they sort of show that he's coping with, like, it doesn't seem like he's freaked out by these appearances, but they didn't really do the work of
Mm-hmm.
developing that, I guess. I think, yeah, I think maybe Hurley is just a bit underdeveloped overall, and maybe that's why like they're struggling for material in the Flash
Mm-hmm.
Sideways. um it's, yeah, I guess it's a different problem from Sawyer, where he like completed an arc like Desmond did. I mean, Desmond didn't even
Mm-hmm.
have flaws in the first place, so that's like that's even another level of problem. But yeah, I think Hurley didn't complete an arc or um uh really deal with his problems. So um
Yeah, I think
it's just this
I
romance
think you're
thing.
right that there's a thing here where they're writing him as if he's completed an arc,
Yeah.
but they sort of skipped over the moment where the character realizes the change, and it seems like they're pushing that to be the actual end when he is the new man in charge. But I think that's a little late, um,
Mm-hmm.
for it to really land. Yeah, the Hurley's weird. Yeah, he's got a weird. The other thing is, it would have been nice if his power, if they had said that his power itself was one of the reasons why he was a candidate or the one to be the new man in charge. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because we, especially like this episode with the ghost, right? He's got this ability to talk to ghosts. Like maybe that would come in handy for whatever needs to happen on the island going forward, right? Like Jacob could be like, you know, now that my game is over, right? I had this game with Man in Black about the nature of humanity. I brought all these people to the island to play this game, and like a lot of people died, and some of them are stuck on the island now because of this game I was playing. Like now, Hurley, with your ability to talk to ghosts, you can help them move on or whatever, like that's why you should take over, because you can help do the work that's left to be done here.
Yeah. I do think the new man in charge like vaguely insinuates that, at least for Michael.
For my
Um,
yeah, yeah, they do it for Michael. It would have been nice to make it seem like there's other
More
people.
general.
There's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I always felt like they resisted like there's also a connection there with Walt, um, being quote unquote special, and like the man in black
Mhm.
is described that way. Mother wanted him to be the guardian of the island. He can see dead people like Hurley can.
Mhm.
I felt like there's some weird thing about the position and like having these special abilities that like is almost a theme or almost a connection,
Mhm.
but they don't actually say that. So I'm not sure if that really matters. And of course, Jack has his tenure, and I don't think Jack has really any, you know, supernatural abilities at least.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think I don't know. It seemed to me like there was an insinuation that like I don't know, like if the island is the one that gave the power. I think that's another thing I've always been curious about. Or if he just had that like anyway.
Mhm.
I think the main question about that is like, did he ever see anyone besides Dave before he came?
Yeah.
I think that's something we just can't really know. Um, and then, yeah, I guess the follow up awkward question is like, was Dave a ghost, or was Dave an imaginary friend, as they insinuated, or both?
Mhm.
Uh, and like then something different on the island. That's where it gets
Yeah.
kind of confusing. Um, but yeah, I think in terms of like what his mission would be, like how is he going to, you know, serve, I guess, as the island guardian. Like it would definitely be nice if they actually had an idea like that. If what Michael says in this episode is true, like these
Mhm.
ghosts are these, they're like trapped, they can't move on, you
Mhm.
know, but Hurley can see them, so maybe he can help
Mhm.
you know like it's a good idea. That, yeah, I don't know, maybe they thought like doing it for Michael was enough. I did appreciate that they even bothered to
Yeah.
insinuate that, even though it wasn't on the show.
Mhm.
Since I think Michael
It
gets
was the
kind of,
bare minimum. Is the
yeah,
least they could do.
100% bare minimum. Yeah, it would have been worse if they didn't, but yeah, it is like literally like the last second
Mhm.
they work that in. Like, okay.
Yeah, if our universe was just like 0.01% dumber, it would have been them going to get like Hurley goes and he's like, "We're gonna go save Anna Lucia and Libby's ghost."
Yep. Yep.
only, only theirs.
Oh, yep. Yep. Cause like, yeah. Yeah.
So we lucked out. We got just the bare minimum. Cool. Well,
Oh,
let's.
right, right. And
Oh,
the other thing is that Walt is in the same institution where Hurley was. That was the other connection.
oh, you mean the other insult to injury?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could call it that, definitely. I mean, Walt obviously is underdeveloped. There are partially practical reasons for that, but I do think that even given those limitations, I think they could have done better going out on a
Yes, they
limb.
could have done a lot better.
They seem it's like I honestly feel like they just bungled it with this like half-ass version where they wanted to keep alive the idea that Walt was around, and they wanted to keep alive the idea that Walt had some vaguely defined powers, his specialness or whatever. But then they just have him like have this dream that's like totally worthless, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, why did you? It just makes me wish they didn't bother with that, because it just makes no sense. there's no follow up. There's no scene where he's like, "Oh my god, that wasn't Locke," or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the explanation is, it ends up being like Desmond's helicopter, where it's just this weird thing where it's like, yeah, if you know where that's going, it's just disappointing. So it just ruins it. And it's like Locke comes there, he doesn't even try to make him come back. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there should have been a better reason. He's just
Yeah,
like, the boy's been through enough. Like, okay, I mean, you could have asked.
it's like I don't mind that he. I mean, I think it does make sense in a way that you don't want to bring Walt back into what is going to happen, but I do agree that the explanation could have been a bit better, and that whole encounter could have been more interesting. Even if they weren't going to actually bring him back, I think there's it would have been nicer if what Walt told him would have helped.
Yeah, exactly.
um,
Exactly.
that would have probably been just enough for me to excuse any other issues I had with what they're doing with Walt at that point. If what he said actually had mattered or helped or um, you know was worth the time on screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than just sort of a fan service cameo kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he doesn't uh, make it in the church either. I guess because Michael isn't there. Like they thought it'd be awkward, but it's like I mean, it's not Walt. Even if they're gonna blame Michael for shooting analysts, it's not Walt's fault that all that
Mm-hmm.
happened. So it's like, why doesn't Walt get
Sins of the
like
father.
yeah, exactly. It's like it seems like he's punished for yeah, and then he ends up in a mental institution. It's like that is pretty depressing.
It's
But
a treatise on generational trauma.
yeah, it does kind of seem that way. But I do think that there's something to the idea that like they're sending them to the institution to indicate like they have nothing in the real world. Like they can just abandon their life to the
Mm-hmm.
island. And it just seems like maybe a shortcut way to do that, to make that believable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, he's not just like whatever, got a job somewhere or like, life, family, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's watch the episode.
All right, we could watch the episode. I mean, why not? Gotta watch it sometime.
Everyone loves Hugo.
Indeed. All right, so you ready to do that
Yep.
thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, everybody, get your players ready for streaming some Everybody Loves Hugo.
Woo! I'm ready.
Right, here we go. Five, four, three, two, one. And five, four,
One more
three,
time.
two, one. Previously lost.
Previously on Lost. Yes, I was looking. Oh, sorry, that was
You love secrets.
Said. I know, like says the guy with like, yeah,
All the secrets.
your whole life is a secret. Like, what are you talking about?
Run.
It's just like generic villain number three thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like it's really true to the character at all. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like the secret of why he can't leave the island.
Hmm. Right at the beginning.
Oh wow, we started in the Flash sideways. I forgot that they did this. That's kind of disturbing.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is the question like, did he not do this much philanthropy in when he won the lottery, right? It seems
Mm-hmm.
like you would expect this to be the opposite of what he did. And
Right.
maybe that's the idea, is like he was so afraid of the curse that he didn't spend any money on other people or something.
Yeah, yeah. Right, right. The curse money didn't want to like curse other people.
Hmm. So, what does it say about A Flash Sideways, where we know where Hurley's original problems were, right? Okay, and now he's in this world where everybody loves Hugo, literally. So, what lesson is he here to learn? Why is he waiting? Why is he experiencing this before going to the next afterlife?
This definitely feels like Desmond's thing where like everything's going really well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess it's
Oh
following a
no! Here,
similar arc.
mom's gonna tell us what the
Yeah,
problem with this world is.
yeah, yeah.
Here we go.
See, so
Okay.
this is the scene Desmond never had.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're setting up
They
like
had, yeah. Desmond had this scene with Miss Hawkins, and she said, "Everything's fine. Shut up."
right.
Yeah. So that's what they're saying. You're right. They're saying that even if he has everything, the one thing he really wants is love
Exactly.
of a woman that's
Yeah.
not his mother. Just to get more
exactly.
specific, slightly more
The
specific.
details matter, I think.
Yes. Yes.
I see. That's their transition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It is weird, a little disorienting to start in the Flash sideways.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to Flash there.
It was an implied flash. Flash was in your heart the whole time.
Oh.
See, that's the thing. Is it only people who are stuck that come to talk to Hurley? Because
Mm-hmm.
everyone else,
Is already
goes straight to heaven or whatever.
half moved on, yeah.
Maybe that's what they're doing with some of these relationships, like Saeed and Hurley, where the church scene is about them getting a second chance, and
Right.
not that it's they really put in the time and work in this life. It's more like, okay, now we get to try, we get another chance to have the time,
Right. Right.
and that's who they choose to do that with. Which you can kind of, which, oh yikes.
Yeah.
Well, you should have came earlier.
A little late.
A little late, Mike.
Uh yeah. Yeah, it's like it's not necessarily a character flaw, it's just like dealing with a tragedy. Which I guess in Sawyer's case, like the two are sort of combined.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's really just the tragedy. Really?
That he should have said more than that, and that's so
Yeah.
upsetting.
Yeah.
Okay, here, yeah, this is what it's about. Here's his leadership test.
Yeah.
Say it. Oh,
Yeah. At a certain point, they should be suspicious.
I think they
They've
are.
known about him talking to. Yeah, you're right. That's true. I guess
Just
that was it.
what are they gonna do? He clearly doesn't want to say.
Right. Oh man, did he get ghosted?
I think that's the implication. But I think
Wow.
something magical is going to happen.
Rosalita?
What's interesting is like she seems like she's dead. Like she
Mm-hmm.
seems like a ghost even in the Flash Sideways.
Yeah.
There's something. I remember this from the original viewing. Like she's not like normal. This is a David Lynch scene.
Yeah.
Like being in a restaurant and a stranger comes up to you and asks, "Do you believe in soulmates?"
Yeah. Yeah, this is weird. I guess it's supposed to be like touching, like it goes across the boundaries of life and death or something, but yeah, it's just kind of awkward. Oh, right,
Mm-hmm.
and this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Right, she's in the mental institution too.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a Flash Sideways mental institution. I remember thinking that guy was up to something.
Mm-hmm.
Seems so suspicious. Maybe it's just that actor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, Santa Rosa. Yeah, that's weird that he was gonna meet Rosalita and it's Santa Rosa. Almost seems like kind of weird connection.
Hmm. Hmm.
Outriggers. Uh
So
oh.
they almost was suggesting that if he hadn't had good mental health, he would have wound up in Rosalita and met her there and had true love. But it's a
Mm-hmm.
weird. I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Oh no, famous last words.
Oh no, she's about to blow up.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that this is when that happens.
This is so horrible.
I'm already disappointed.
Yeah.
Stop!
Mm.
Stop throwing that around.
Oh no, no!
Here it
Don't look at her.
comes.
Ugh. That's the other thing I hated is like how she like threw it down. Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't quite. It could have been more just accidental, like unstable versus she was reckless.
Yeah, it really seemed like she was pushing it, and you would think
Hmm.
she would know. Like you could see
That
the
was the
stuff
whole point.
dripping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and she was like
exactly.
shoving shit in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like why?
Uh,
Here's the whittling.
yeah, you don't do it. Time to sit down. This is what Neil Aboot saw from
Yeah,
Lost.
you're right. This is fucking the island
This
stuff.
is yeah.
Is there? What is it exactly? Yeah, so weird that he knows they're coming. I never understood why.
Oh no,
Oh God.
zombie. ominous.
I was lurking in the water.
Lurking in the water. Yeah. I was up to my eyelashes in water, yes. Well, well, well. Oh, too soon.
Mm-mm-mm.
The on Lostpedia, there's an image of that of Desmond tied to the tree,
Mm-hmm.
and the caption says, "Saeed reveals Widmore's package to the Man in Black." Saeed revealed Widmore's package to the Man in Black. I just thought, they could have used different words there, if you know. But it is literally true.
Yeah, that's what they called it. So just
I
have to
brought you.
live with that
Here's
now.
Widmore's package. Yeah,
Stop dumping packs.
yeah.
God. Yeah, this is where Richard is just like he's
Hmm.
just got nothing anymore.
Don't go around making promises then.
Yeah, like what? That's my problem now? Like
Yeah.
what? Why?
What's his choice?
Blown up the plane.
Oh,
But Hurley's got a plan.
he's got a plane.
He's got a plane plan.
Plane plan. Give me a
Oh
bucket.
God. Don't ever say that.
Family size bucket. Stat.
Not like an individual size
So this
bucket.
is after he saw Libby,
Yeah,
and
I
he's
think so.
depressed, and so now he's eating chicken, and then Desmond shows up.
Yeah, I guess because she got carted away or something.
Okay.
Or maybe he'll explain. Okay, that's the point.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Hashtag sexism.
Yeah. Okay, Desmond, you're everyone's hero.
He's just old fashioned.
I guess so. I'm old school.
I'm a bit lost on how I should be interpreting this like feeling that's really interesting, right? Like, oh, we're in this reality that's not real, and we all knew each other, and there's this conspiracy, and we need to find the people involved and wake each other up and under like that's a cool. I love that feeling, but I'm a little confused on how how much of that I'm supposed to believe is true versus what I actually know is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember from when I saw this originally, like how much I was into that the conspiracy idea because we know it's not quite what it seems.
Right.
Even on the level that Desmond knows it, right? It's not even what how he's sort of describing it.
So I think Desmond knows everything, and he's just he's like leading them to have the same realization he had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also think that um, it's like I think they had it in the Desmond episode with Charlie too, where there's the full realization where they fully understand where they are and what they're supposed to do, and then there's also this like halfway thing where they get this vague intuition of like some kind of connection or life or
Mm-hmm.
whatever with these other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like Hurley's like in that place, or maybe Libby is, and she's like leading him there, and Desmond is trying to push him in that direction
Yeah.
so he can have his big moment.
But I mean, even what Desmond knows isn't the reality of what's happening, right? He doesn't even know really what the Flash Sideways is, and
I
like,
think he does. That's what I was trying to say. I think he knows the full thing. And I think by the end of the episode, Hurley's going to know too.
but I mean, he doesn't know the ultimate answer that it's a place that they made together because of their experience on the island, and it's like, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
and that they're all gonna go wake. They have to wake up so they can move on to the real thing. Like he has
I
a
think he knows they
fragment
have
of
to wake
that.
up, so they have to move on.
Yeah,
But I
but I
don't think he
think
necessarily knows all that other stuff.
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Your son's still not speaking English.
Yeah, that's right. She won't be speaking English until she reunites with Jin because of all the English they used to speak together.
It's so weird.
It makes no sense at all. Oh boy.
Oh, I remember this being dumb.
Yeah.
Ugh. It reminded me of when Locke blew up the hatch. It's like the inverse of that, where like Hurley was trying to get him to stop. You know, he's like, "No, don't blow up the hatch yet." And Locke just like ran and did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. At the end of season one,
yeah,
like, no, it's cursed. And he's like,
yeah.
whatever.
And this is like Hurley's version of just like
Yeah, you're right.
going gung ho and
Yeah. Wow.
But there's what's the thing, right? Michael, why does Michael have any intrinsic knowledge better than anybody else about
Right.
what should happen? He's just a person who thinks something should happen. Like just because he's a ghost, he knows what to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe you're supposed to
There it
think
is.
he's
This is
just,
what he's talking about right now. Like,
yeah, here it is. Maybe Hurley just thinks that.
yeah,
It's not necessarily true.
hmm creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Good band name, Fajita Field Trip.
It does also feel like, in a mild way, they're trying to pay off that whole thing about Libby being in the institution in from season two, but it doesn't quite work because this is like the after. It's like a different version.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't assume that just because it's happening this way here that that's what happened in the real world.
Yeah.
Is this a money solves everything? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I realize Hugo has been paying people off for years.
Yeah, that makes people love you.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Just have a lot of money and give it to
Hmm.
people. No, not you. Yeah, it's like because I don't know, maybe because she's crazy in the afterlife, she's in touch with something. It's almost like Charlie's
Yeah,
near death
yeah,
experience or
that's what
something.
it is. Yeah, her brain is working differently, therefore she can tap into the memories of the afterlife or something.
Yeah, yeah, perceive it somehow.
See, the
Yeah,
consciousness altering hit over the
as
head.
they say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the game they're playing here is alternate universe versus what it
Hmm.
really is. Because the way they're describing it, it really could be that still.
Hmm.
Wow, she really got the memories.
Yeah,
I guess it's like she actually got full memories, but she still thinks she's crazy.
but she doesn't remember it very much. She. I mean, she's not remembering them clearly. She doesn't even know he's there for sure. So it's not like she remembers everything. It's just a glimpse.
Right. Wow. Not bad.
It's weird to say I can't remember versus I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. It's like he's bizarre alternate universe. There's the tease. I think he's trying to will himself to remember,
Hmm.
but isn't able to.
This is what's weird though, and they do this, and we're all sucked into it. I just felt myself completely acknowledge it. We're like, why are they in love with each other? Because she has a memory of him being on an island, and she's really emphatic about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's this thing where it's like, oh, we have this like possible tenuous connection, therefore we're soulmates.
Yeah.
It's accept. It's such a weird thing with storytelling where we're just like, oh, they're clearly destined to be together forever, and we're
Yep.
completely happy with that storyline, right? Because of what?
Yeah.
Because they had half a picnic date one time, you know? And then like she half remembers him in a memory. It's like it's so weird, man. Oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's got a stick
He
too.
sees it too. So weird. So weird.
Oh wow. And that's supposed to be Jacob?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's the kid who plays Jacob in the Across the Sea.
It's like Richard's being Jack, and
Yeah.
Jack is being like Saeed or somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's rational.
Yeah. Here's where we progress to the next level.
Hmm.
Hurley making up ghosts to convince them.
Oh shit!
It's weird that we just saw Jacob and now he's lying about it. Uh oh.
Nice. What's the password?
That is a good trick.
Hmm. That's not the right answer.
Nope.
Except for this time soon, he's gonna tell you what to do.
Who told you that? What does that mean?
Hmm.
Anybody? All right.
He still hasn't convinced anybody why they should stop Man of Black from leaving, right? Is
Yeah.
that
I mean,
correct?
he got it from Isabella, but it's just like, again, like, what do
Yeah.
the ghosts know about
But
anything?
he hasn't communicated that to this group that he's trying to lead to do what he wants. He hasn't said, "Guys, come on! Like, we have to destroy the plane."
I just realized I think there's another problem with this, which is that that message was relayed through Hurley.
Uh huh.
So Hurley knows about it too. Like, you got to stop him or we all go to hell. And
Yeah,
he's listening to ghosts here, right?
yeah.
That's what started all this. But he didn't listen to. He
But
doesn't seem to.
Michael's saying do something else.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The
I think
ghosts
he's
are a
just
little
thinking.
bit.
I think he's just thinking there's a different way to stop him.
Yeah, yeah.
What a weird look. Oh man, that was crazy. What a weird shot.
Yeah, that was weird. Oh boy.
I wish it was Charlie who showed up or something and told Hurley what to do. Then I could believe Hurley would be more
Mm-hmm.
just do whatever,
Yeah.
no questions asked.
But Charlie made it to the Flash sideways.
Hmm.
Or could he?
It didn't work.
What? What? Really? I didn't realize you were even thinking about that. Sorry, that's a bit of a
He
surprise.
hasn't said any of that this whole season.
Yeah, I didn't know he gave a shit. Like, Sawyer was upset about it, but like, I don't know. Like, I
I
didn't
think we're
realize he
talking
gave it
over
a
his
second
character growth here.
thought.
Let's see. He just said maybe I'm supposed to. Going to see him for what? Letting you make bad decisions for the group. Oh
Oh
no.
no.
Whispers.
Here it comes.
I don't know where I'm going. The whispers show up to tell him.
Yep. Wow.
They're the people who couldn't move on for no apparent reason.
He just figured out the whispers.
Hmm.
Wow.
And then if you go in the corner, you can talk to the whispers.
Yeah, he did. All you gotta do is go around the corner. Hit you around. Like he's crouching so okay, yeah.
He was just hiding.
It's like they really are like behind a tree whispering or something. Boy.
Out here. Mm-mm-mm. That's not a log. He's in that fire that was really obvious. This is what allows Michael to get redemption in the bonus episode at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't apologize right then and there, they wouldn't have given him that.
Yeah.
Because we all know that his last line to Hurley should have been about his son Walt.
Clearly.
Last line to Hurley should have been, "Hey, if you see
100%.
Walt again, tell him I'm sorry," or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Jack thinking about Juliet. It's just like, really? Like, I feel like
Hmm.
that should be like further down the list.
And even I don't even know, what are we supposed to, as the audience, what are we supposed to even be hoping for, right? It's not like we're thinking, oh, we want them to wake up and realize that they created this reality artificially through the bomb, and now they need to wake up so they can go back to the island and save the world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are we even hoping for?
Yeah, I remember people thinking something like that would happen. Like they would get together, they'd go back to the island and like close the loop or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. I don't really know what the thing we're
And
supposed
this
to
is
be hoping
also
for
weird
is.
with Hurley, right? Shouldn't he believe that she's telling the truth? Like
Oh,
that
there it
she's
is.
not actually crazy? Like, shouldn't that be his vantage point? Like, no, your memories are real. I may not remember them, but you're not delusional. Like, I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's what he should be saying.
Yeah.
Like, supportive of her.
Right,
Like,
right.
people were not supportive of him. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of
And
a
then
mistake.
when they kiss, now it's like, oh, this is his reward for his faith that
Right.
she was right.
Yeah, but he didn't have to do anything for it.
No, like she couldn't convince him without kissing him. It's a little weird if
Mm-hmm.
you overanalyze it.
Yeah.
And then Des was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, brother,
Right
the
on.
smooch of reality." Yeah, what a weird, so weird.
Uh-oh.
Well, well, well.
Just well.
He just smiles.
Yeah,
This
Desmond
is
is
what's
just
weird too, right? I remember I was talking about that in the original podcast. Like, he's like a zombie now. He's like Saeed, where they're both
yeah.
zombified, where they have like no actual emotions anymore or thoughts. They just like go forward, path of least resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. Pushed along to whatever.
So this is supposed to be the Orchid Well.
I I don't think so, but maybe.
You know how long it took him.
Yeah, I know. And by they, when I say the people, Well, they kind of did, but there's some other things that happened.
Hmm.
This is weird. Oh, I remember that line's weird too.
Yeah, it makes it seem like he's going to put Desmond at different places around the island as a compass and to see where they should dig for things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess putting him in the room is like set up for that. He's saying there's magnetic properties.
Hmm.
But
And the
I
whole thing
I'm
with
just
Jin's maps.
what is the cone here? And when I say what is the cone here, what I mean is what is the plan here? Sorry.
Cone plan different
I
things.
don't know why cone seemed like the right word.
Wow.
I love the reveal later when like he's not even that far down.
Hmm.
It's kind of misleading. He's he's doing well, if you know what I mean.
Hmm. He won't be bothering us anymore. We're for a walk, James, in the middle of the night. One of those night walks. Nope, just early.
Son of a bitch. It's Hurley.
I come with fire.
Too bad he's not a vampire. We always come one at a time.
The worst hurt. What's the word of a smoke monster worth?
How did he know they were coming? I
Who
gotta know.
knows what?
Is he like tapped into ghost energy or something?
How did Man in Black know they were coming?
Yeah. Earlier he's like, I'm waiting for Jack and Son and Hurley and so on. It's just like, how did he know? Because they weren't even planning to come here until like much later.
He just knows it was inevitable. What else are they gonna do?
Blow up that plane.
But then what? They still gotta show up to him at some point. He's the only game in town.
Yeah, for a confrontation. Yeah, maybe that's it. But
Uh
still,
oh.
though, what if like
So I
I
guess it's
don't
the
know?
first time they've seen each other.
It is. Yeah, Jack hasn't seen Lock,
Oh
Smoke,
no,
Monster
everybody
yet.
does. Oh no,
Yeah, I don't think Hurley has either, but it's a bigger deal when Jack
I'm
sees
worried
him.
about this.
Okay, so now we have to watch this. Okay, I thought this might be this one.
Hmm.
Uh-oh. What are you doing?
It's like Duel of the Glasses. I can look at the glasses too.
They're really like glassesing.
Yeah, if it was a sketch that that you'd one up the person by putting on a second pair and
Yep.
looking over those. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, what? The teachers are really overprotective.
Yeah, I know. Get out of my face, Dr. Linus.
I'm gonna run this guy over to wake him
Yeah,
up. It's why does Locke get this treatment, but Hurley
I
got a smooch on the lips?
totally agree. Totally agree.
Dude, that's just insane, man. That's just insane, dude. I don't understand how. And this is America's favorite.
Yep. Yep. They can't get
He
enough.
just ran over a guy in a
I
wheelchair.
know, I know, and yet he's a hero somehow.
What is? I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, that's
That's
fucking
so
bullshit.
much.
I can't believe
That's
they
a
did
lot.
that.
It's weird that Hurley gets all the time in the world to have a nice slow awakening, and
Yeah,
Locke gets run over by a car.
yeah.
Oh man, that's not fair. That's a little rough.
It's totally not fair. I remember at the time there was discussion that like he thought it was the Man in Black or something. But I don't think that's true. I um I don't think there is a good reason for him to do that. Other as
Mm-hmm.
opposed. I mean, it is similar to the stuff with Charlie, where it was all about like near death experiences. But once you learn like a smooch will do, it's like, well, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like
Unless it's like everybody has a special thing that unlocks it for them, and his has to be some sort of accident, you know.
hmm
Now, what would have worked for me is if Locke was not in a wheelchair, in the Flash
and
sideways,
that's how he gets in the wheelchair.
and that's how he gets in the wheelchair
Yeah,
because Desmond knows that that's his conduit to being connected to his past life.
right.
But no,
Yeah.
they did.
I feel like that idea is maybe like almost there, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It feels like they're referencing that idea,
Yeah.
but not necessarily using it.
It's almost
You
like
know?
Desmond just said, "Congratulations, Mister Locke. I've got the cure, and now you don't have to be in a wheelchair anymore." And then like, "Oh, I can walk again." And then he hits him with the car.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
But I really feel like it's partially just like amping up the drama, like because I think once you know what the Flash Sideways is, it's sort of like you realize that a lot of the draw. I felt the same way about the Kimi stuff, um, where it's like they're adding all this intense like violence and stuff to like make it more exciting, but like there isn't really a threat in that world, because it's a place for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels like manipulation to me.
There's a lot of weird stuff in this episode. The stuff with the young Jacob
Mm-hmm.
person.
Yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah. I
the
think
deal with that?
it's really weird, and I don't understand it, honestly. It makes no sense to me. I don't know why, like, he's got this, like, kid form where everybody can see him, and then
It's
this
almost like
adult
it's almost like they
form.
wanted Jacob around, but they couldn't get Mark Pellegrino. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Cool, we'll just use the kid version," but
Yeah.
not explain why. But then,
And
yeah,
then,
why can everybody see him?
yeah, that's the part that doesn't make sense to me. If they just had him act like a ghost, then it would sort of work for me if, like, no one could see him but the Man in Black and Hurley. It did add to the intrigue that people could see him, and I remember thinking it was a big deal. And maybe they thought it was cheeky to use the kid that they would cast as young Jacob, like he's reminding the Man in Black of his origins and where he came from, and maybe that's like
Hmm.
Jacob's way of hinting why he can't leave.
Like he's still around, preventing him.
Yeah.
One thing that would have been interesting, they didn't say he could do this, but it would have been interesting if somehow like Man in Black was involuntarily projecting the image of young Jacob, so the same way that he can turn into dead people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can see him look like a dead person, like as if it's almost like Jacob was in his head, like projecting himself into reality almost.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
and so that's why
interesting.
he gets that's why everyone can see it because it's sort of a man in black apparition.
Right, right, which everyone
But
can see
he's
usually.
yeah, but he's like
Yeah.
losing control. Like Jacob is messing with his brain or something. I
That
don't
could have been interesting.
know.
I
Hmm.
like that idea.
I'm all
Yeah.
for things that make Man in Black more complex because he's really yeah. There's just a lot with him that doesn't make a lot of
I
sense.
don't like secrets. Like, really? Like, you're like Mr. Secret, but okay. Whatever. Um, I gotta talk about this line he says to Desmond, because I find this so weird.
Hmm.
So he takes him to the well, and he's like, "The reason I wanted you to see this is because Charles Widmore is not interested in answers. Like, wait, so if he was interested in answers, like, you would like him more? I find that weird. Okay, he's only interested in power. And he brought you back to the island so you could help him find what he's looking for. After all, this isn't the only well. So
Hmm.
he's like
So is he
insinuating,
I think he's referencing the Light Cave.
yeah, yeah. And it seems like he's insinuating that, Widmore is really there, to get power for himself, which is kind of what they said earlier, in the
To
old,
even maybe use Desmond to find the Light Cave.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, like a compass or something.
Hmm. The Desmond's the
Yeah.
compass. Yeah.
Yeah, that would sort of make sense. So, my question about that is, like, I guess, I think the audience, we can't fully trust Widmore, maybe ever, but certainly not at this point.
Hmm.
Um, so that's all well and good. We'll never know for sure what his original plans were for the island because he didn't make it there. But I'm just curious, does the Man in Black actually believe that? Like, does he actually think that's true? And I guess second question, if he doesn't think that's true, like, why is he even saying that? Like, what is the purpose of saying that to Desmond? I don't understand. Is it like, is he lying or he really believes that? Like,
Yeah, I think he's trying to say, hey, Desmond, if you think you can align with Widmore because Widmore wants to know what the island is and just has like this sort of philosophical interest in like the mysteries here and things like that. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, he's here just for his own power's sake. I think that's what he's trying to do is just like make make him see Widmore, more as someone not to align with, right?
so like
And
if Widmore ever gets him again, he won't cooperate or
because
something.
Widmore's been very he has tried to be very pragmatic, I think, about how he's been explaining himself. So
Right.
I think that's kind of what Man in Black is getting at here is like, yeah, if you think it's just as simple as like, oh, I'm interested in the island, which is what they kind of we knew about Widmore before, right? Sort of. I
Right.
mean, I don't know, but because they never made it clear what he really wanted to do. But I do think it's
Exactly.
more. Yeah, I think it's that a little bit of that, but more about Man in Black just making the case, that Desmond, uh, shouldn't trust Widmore.
Right. Like, just in case, it's just like, I guess maybe I'm biased because I know it doesn't, like, Desmond's never going to meet Wedmore again. There's just no purpose that it serves ultimately, and it just makes me wonder if if the Man in Black actually thinks that, like, and I
I think
guess,
part of his character is he wants to he likes convincing people of things, right,
right,
on their own accord, right. So he could just kill and destroy and maim everybody who stands in his way, but he purposefully likes to coerce people verbally into agreement with him and
right,
come willingly. And so I think that's what that is. Like, he wants to have Desmond do what he wants him to do just by talking him into it and not
Right.
threatening him directly.
Right. Yeah.
Because everybody
Yeah.
knows what he is, so he could be like, "Hey, I could turn to a smoke monster and pound you," or, but he's like, "No, don't trust this guy." So he likes to play those other mind games, um, which part of it I think is because the show is trying to convince us that he isn't just wanting to kill all of them in the end.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so he's got this part of his character is coming across as somebody who's like, oh, we have to all leave together, and I'm the good guy
Mm-hmm.
because we can all leave, and so that's all part of the farce, or the ruse or whatever. So I think that's part of why his a lot of his tactics are diplomatic to some degree, is because they're trying to convince us. It's the what's it called? Not a red herring, but when you do the thing, the trick. When you do the thing, the trick. I just said it again. There's
What
a
trick?
word for when you like misdirection. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, okay.
Misdirection.
Yeah. 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 Keeping them focused on something else so they don't
Mm-hmm.
notice that. Yeah. Which is pretty much what happens. Like he gets them all on the sub, and then
Yep. Yep.
you know.
Exactly. Come on, friends. Let's go on a sea adventure. Don't worry, everything is fine. Nothing can possibly go wrong.
Yeah, and they think they're like betraying him by not letting him get on the sub, but he doesn't even
Mhm.
want to be on the
He doesn't
sub,
want to get us up. You guys did him a favor.
which is like ultimate con.
And that's what's interesting, right? Is he seems to know people, right? So even to your point about how does he know they're coming, like it'd be great if somebody called him out on that, and he goes, "Listen, I've been studying human beings for 2,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're all predictable.
Right.
You guys only do one of three things ever: run, hide, or die." You know, whatever.
Hey, Russo was right.
Exactly. So yeah, it'd be great if if there was a line like that, just to put the button on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I wanted to hear that. I wanted to hear that. And yeah, I would also just like to know if like I guess in a way it doesn't really matter because of where the story's going, but I just it's like I I always found it hard. I remember people were ambivalent about his character back when season 6 was on, but I always found it really hard to trust him because of where he came from.
Who?
It's like Man in Black.
Hmm.
It's like, well, I mean, like Widmore too, but less so. Um, uh, just because I don't know, maybe because the introduction of the Man in Black is one big con, you know, and it's sort of like you can get away with that one time, but after you pull this whole thing, it's like, and there's no like ready-made explanation. Like he just kind of waves off like questions he doesn't want to deal with, and I never heard like a stronger like he just seems like he'll say whatever he thinks he needs to say to like convince people, but it never comes across to me like he's fully forthcoming.
Hmm.
Um and so I don't know, I always found it really hard to trust him on anything, so it just doesn't read to me as
It's
something
almost like he's
where
evil incarnate.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I guess it just comes across weird to me that it's going to end with him just pushing Desmond in the well, and it's like, do you really think you have Desmond's trust? Like it's just I don't know, like you think he's going to believe
Well,
you?
no,
Like
I think that's why he threw him in the well, because he just saw that Desmond can't be coerced. Like Desmond is now, I think that's where they landed it in their last scene, right? Like
that was the point.
Desmond's now not able to be motivated by any tool Man in Black has,
Right.
because Desmond's now convinced of this, you know, absolute thing he's going to go to later.
Right.
So I think that's why he throws him in the well, because he can't do anything with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that was in a
It's almost
way,
like
it's like
didn't yeah, it's almost like he didn't plan to throw him in the well. He said he came out there to see if he could convince him, and if the
right.
answer was no, he was going to put him in the well. But it wasn't like that. He was going to put him in the well regardless.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think yeah, that's why it was confusing me. I kind of imagined that he was just gonna push him down the well no matter what, and so then it seemed pointless.
Hmm.
But yeah, if that's actually like the change in play, it's weird that it pivots to like, why aren't you afraid? Feels like that's like a little bit off base from what the point is supposed to be. But I think your answer makes sense.
Hmm.
Like I think why aren't you afraid is more that's more about Desmond's like thing where he's just like blissed out and convinced that no matter what happens, he's gonna end up, going to some place and
Yeah,
getting zapped back to where Penny is, and so he's
but
just
I
like
think it was
fine
Man
with
in
whatever.
Black. Yeah, but I think it was Man in Black asking like, why isn't like the tool I use to motivate humans working on you? I think that's basically what he was saying. So if Desmond won't get into a fear state, then Man in Black can't really do anything,
Right.
which I think is sort of interesting.
It's just like I don't know, like it's just a weird pivot to me to go from like, you know, like telling him this thing and then Desmond doesn't believe it, or at least he doesn't think Desmond is like convinced enough. So he's like gonna
Well,
push him down the well, but then
he's
it's like, why aren't you
well,
afraid?
it's
Like he's
interesting. I was just gonna say it makes Man in Black again like a Stephen King character, right? Where like not having fear of the creature takes the power away.
yeah.
And I think that's kind of how that plays out. Is Man in Black's like, oh, you're not afraid anymore? Shit, then like my magic won't work on you.
Yeah, is he somehow more convincing if people are afraid? Like, are they like subtly hinting that?
I mean, look at Sundown, right? That was he came with the fear-based proclamation: "You will all
That's
die
true.
unless you join me by sundown."
That's very true.
No, I think they're making a point that yeah, he does use fear to motivate people, right? And well, and I say motivate, but I mean like coerce and control them. And I think yeah, once Desmond was like, yeah, I'm past that now because of this thing that happened. He's like, cool, go in the well, sit this one out.
And I think it's also interesting that it's not why aren't you afraid of Widmore?
Mm-hmm.
It's why aren't you afraid of me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, which like it does cut to the point, but it's also like, yeah, in my head he shouldn't want that yet. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's like that's part of his dark powers. Is like he can it gives him an entry point or something if he can sense
Mm-hmm.
your fear, like he can somehow have a more powerful influence over you or something. That does actually make sense. I wish they had developed that a little more. It is like a Stephen King thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, and
think
it
it's
goes
all
to even the original thing with Locke saying when he saw the smoke monster, he thought it was something beautiful, right? Like there's that
right.
thing of like, well, maybe it's not even a smoke monster. Maybe if you think it looks beautiful, it doesn't even look like that. But you know what I mean? Like it's taking
Yeah.
the form that other people project onto it or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. That does seem true. I like that
Which
idea.
is and it also I wish they would have done more with that and what I want to see what Man in Black thinks about the whole smoke monster thing. Like what does he think that is?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he gets away with saying relatively little about it. I mean, not even just to me, not even just the smoke monster, but the fact that he can like look like dead people.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a really specific weird thing, and like yeah, he just seems to, I mean, I know it's been a long time, but
Yeah.
he just doesn't seem very reflective about that. It's just like, oh, it's just a tool I use to like manipulate people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But like if you want to leave, like you're gonna keep doing that? Like, what's your plan? I don't know. Like,
Yeah. He never talked about his plan.
Yeah, I feel like there should have been a little more
Mm-hmm.
specified about like you want to leave, but why? Like, what are you gonna do out there? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know why you wanted to leave originally,
Yeah.
you know, just because you were trapped there, and maybe it's still that, but like you do know, like the world's changed, right? Like you
You know
can't
what the show?
go.
You know what the show could have been? The end game could have been. It could have been him wanting to like use the island's time travel ability
Time machine.
to go back to when his
Oh
real
my
mother
god.
island, and the home he wants to go to is like the time period in which he was actually born.
Oh, that would have made so much sense. Oh man. Oh
You know,
man.
that's why they have to stop him, because the island going back to that period would have created some sort of loop of
Unst-
destruction or something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, why did they do
Oh,
that?
why didn't they do that?
Oh
Why didn't they do
man.
a better ending?
That makes so much more sense on both levels, like what the threat could be and why
Mhm.
he wants it so bad, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause it's just really hard for me to imagine like the man in black going and like getting an apartment somewhere or whatever. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
The
what's your
farmer, he wants to get his GG.
shouldn't he already have one from like reading people's minds? I mean,
His general evil diploma. Yeah, I was
exactly.
gonna say, and they could have said that the incident was the one of the times that he tried to accomplish his goal, right? He tried to get the Losties or Dharma to explode that pocket of energy, which would have, sent the island back to the time, killed all the candidates, right, in one fell
Yeah.
swoop, and then sent the island back to the time period in the past he wants to get to. But nope, they stopped it, right? Boom, the whole thing, right? And then they go, okay, now he's gonna try again, like with this end game here. You know,
Right.
this time it's has to do with the light cave.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that
That
would have
makes
made a
sense.
lot more sense in a lot of ways if that's. Yeah, his goal just never lined up. It just never. It was just. It's really, really, really remarkable how little he said about what he actually wanted. Um,
Yeah, they hang the whole
for
season
it to
on that, like the on island
the
stuff.
whole character on that. The whole character is
Yeah.
predicated on a trapped dude, a guy who's
Yeah.
literally motivation for everything he does. Everything he does is to get off the islands. But like, why? Well, I don't know. I'm not. I haven't put too much thought into it yet.
Yeah. It's like it's a carryover because he was born there and like he just wanted to like see more of the world. But it's like,
Or even, yeah, they could even say what he wants to take the island and go back in time and kill baby Jacob or
oh
something.
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
hang over that way. Or kill mother before he mother kills his birth mother, whatever,
Right.
um, and then that way I won't be raised by a crazy woman, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That'll solve my problem in life or whatever. Yeah, there's so much they could have done with that whole thing that they just completely steered clear of. I just think it's so weird that he just wanted this general sense of wanting to leave the island without it being anything specific. Like, I know you don't watch too many of the Marvel movies, but the villain, Thanos, who was the big bad at the very end, had a very specific vision of what he wanted to be doing after he achieved his goal, which like
Mm-hmm.
this crazy crazy goal. But he's like, cool, yeah. And then once I'm done, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna watch the sunset in this valley in this particular place. And then, like, when he
Okay.
accomplishes his goal, you see him do that exact thing. So yeah, I wish Man in Black had said that. I wish there was like some. He was like, in the 1700s, a sailor, crashed on the island, and he died. When he died in my arms, he whispered a phrase from a book, and I'm gonna go to that place in Italy where, like, that book described, was the most
Mm-hmm.
beautiful place. something like, yeah, something of the outside world that's stuck in his head of like the vision he's been working towards, right? Like, there was an Irishman who couldn't stop talking about the rolling hills of Ireland. That's where I'm going.
Right.
Leave, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
especially with something like that, visual and tangible and like specific, so you got to understand like what he really is thinking and what it really means. Especially when he has this relative peace, right, on the island. It'd be different if he was like, all of the ghosts who can't move on like constantly talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my curse of being here, is like the voices are all around and I'm always hearing the whispers, and whatever, and that's why I want to leave the island, so I can get away from being trapped, because it's not, but it's like, but actually it's very tranquil there for him, if he wants it to be. He's always scheming, but you know what I mean, like he's in Hawaii,
Yeah.
so um just in terms of that goal of like wanting tranquility or wanting peace or whatever reason, you're fighting for something, uh and it's, yeah, it's super weird that they don't get specific for him when it's like his number one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think I mean they generally have they're generally pretty weak on this point, so I'm not surprised that they don't do it for this particular thing, just in terms of like his powers and how he feels about them. I remember at the time, and I still kind of think that there should have been some acknowledgement, since his big goal is like leaving the island, that, because of the powers he has,
Mhm.
his scanning powers, like he has the ability to like experience people's memories. Like nobody else can do that. So you've accessed memories from all around the world, and he can say if he wants that, like, well, that's not the same as being there, and that's fine. I'm not against that, but they don't even really acknowledge. I feel like they act
And
like
that's
he's been
actually,
isolated.
you're right. That's actually what they should have done, or they could have done, is do the very trite thing that they just did with Hurley, right? They said, the one thing I've scanned
Mhm.
1,000 people's minds and lived in all the every moment of their life at my fingertips, but it's not
Mhm.
the same as the real thing. And so he like
Right.
wants to go out and have a life and fall in love and whatever, not be judged by the content of his smoke cloud,
Right. Exactly.
but yeah, they don't say that.
No, it doesn't seem like he appreciates like
Hmm.
how cool that is. Like it's a very, I don't know. It's like and I know like maybe it gets tedious or whatever acknowledging the powers every time, but I just think like they didn't even need to do it like for everything, but I just think they're very weak on like ever acknowledge like it's like
Well,
it's
and
like he
they could have said he didn't have the if he leaves the island, he those powers go away, and that's what he wants. He
right.
could. I Can you imagine, meeting people and you always know like who they are. There's no mystery to them, right?
Mhm.
If you can trust them. You know what I mean? I could. There's a thing in a Star Trek Voyager episode about that, where there's race of people who don't like telepaths because they don't think you can form relations, because they're like, well, all relationships are based on trust, and how can
Right.
you trust someone who can read your mind, right?
Right.
So and it's like that, that could have been a thing where he's like, yeah, I can't have any relationships, because I'm always inactive, involuntarily reading people's minds, uh,
Yeah.
and seeing their memories and all this stuff. But yeah, they don't. They just give him this general goal with this general sense that he doesn't want to be where he is,
Yeah.
without any like specific reason why.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It just, yeah, you would think it would be developed. And I know like they couldn't develop it earlier because we didn't know anything about the character, we didn't know about the goal, we didn't know any of this stuff. So I get that they have to wait, but yeah, I think it's unfortunate that because of the way they wrote it, like it's shrouded in mystery until they tell us that, well, he always wanted that from when he was like first, born on the island. And it's like, yeah, but this is different though, and you never really acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like things
And
change.
that's the same thing they could have done. They could have said, he's been wanting to leave the island in some general way for so long. He actually doesn't even know what it means specifically. That could have been a point they could,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
could have
Oh,
asked.
and a related point is that although there was this idea from Mother, like, oh, you can never leave or whatever. I mean, Jacob does leave the island. We see him do
Mhm.
it multiple times. So
Well,
I feel
Mother
like
never said I couldn't leave.
I feel like there's a tragic irony or something in the fact that he was supposed to be, or at least Mother says she wanted him to be the guardian of the island, and in that case, he could have left, you know, and like all this wouldn't have been a problem. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know. I feel like there's a thing there that again is not really acknowledged, that like Jacob gets to leave and he
Yeah.
doesn't, and it didn't have to be that way.
It didn't have to be that way. The story of Man in Black.
I feel like with tragedies or something, like usually like you spell out or at least like hint at like the element of what makes it tragic, and I feel like that's part of the story that isn't really highlighted, like that, if he just hadn't done what he did, like, and he just followed along with what Mother wanted, like he
Hmm.
could have left.
Hmm.
Would have been fine. It's like no big deal. Jacob just leaves, comes back, whatever. It's all good. Knows these
Yeah.
languages. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like that's a bit of a problem for the story. It's just a bit weird. That's like, no, you can leave. Just not you, but like one can leave.
Hmm. Another thing they could have done was to say that mother somehow knew that Man in Black was going to become the smoke monster, and so she was telling Jacob at a young age that his brother could never leave because she knew what he would become. Like that,
Mm-hmm.
I know that's completely not the story, for a lot of reasons. But I was just saying, like that could have been a thing where, okay, the reason, yeah, there's a disconnect between when she said he couldn't leave and then the other reason he can't leave, which is that he's a smoke monster, and they don't really make it clear how those two things relate. But that could have been a thing, where she's setting him up for that, that charge, to be like, well, you're gonna have to keep him here forever.
Right.
It would have been nice though if Mother had an end date. If she said he can't leave until,
Mm-hmm.
or unless. Um,
Yeah. 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 Forever seems like a bit much.
hmm
Like for no apparent reason, And I know like she's maybe kind of crazy or whatever, but it's just, yeah,
But
it's
I feel like nobody's crazy, right? Aren't all the crazy people right on this show?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but it's just all these rules, all this stuff we're stuck with now. It's a whole thing. Okay, a semi-related tangent that I wanted to get out there before we move on, as it were. Is it's just about the ghost. So like I remembered it slightly wrong, but now that I've seen the episode, I kind of remember how I felt about this at the time, and I think I should just throw this in here. So like Isabella says through Hurley, you got to stop the Man in Black, or we're all gonna go to hell. It's a whole thing. And then Michael shows up and says, "No, don't blow up the plane." Yeah, of course, Isabella didn't say blow up the plane. That was Richard's idea. So again, like, there's all these levels where things can go wrong. But I just want to note that Michael didn't actually say. I remember being suspicious at the time too of Michael because of this. Like, he didn't actually say you got to stop him from leaving. He just said like, don't get yourself killed, don't do dangerous things, but
Hmm.
then he points him right to the Man in Black, walks him straight, like, there he is, have
Hmm.
fun, go over there, do what you want. It's like, isn't that dangerous? Like, I'm just kind of confused. Like, don't get killed. Like, well, okay, I'm gonna go hang out with the smoke monster that you just pointed me to, but you know,
Does Michael know he's the smoke monster?
does he not?
I mean, he said, "Where's Locke?" And then Michael pointed as if that was Locke.
Oh man, does Michael not even know? Oh
I
shit.
mean, why would Michael know?
I mean, ghost knowledge. I don't know. Isabella seemed to know. I mean, Isabella didn't know Locke, so
Yeah.
maybe it's different. But oh, oh no, sorry. He said how do you break the ice to a smoke monster to Jack? So uh, let's see. Do. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. But it's like, why are they blowing up the plane? Like he knows about that. I just feel like he should know. But yeah, I agree. I can't really prove that he knows.
Um. So he's saying, "Don't blow up the plane."
Yeah, seemingly just because it's dangerous. I mean, that's his story. But I remember at the time thinking like, ooh, I wonder if there's a hidden agenda here.
Well, it seems like a Lindelof shuffle, right? It seems like we're
Yeah,
getting two opposing viewpoints about whether or not something should happen, and it'll be the third thing.
right. Yeah, and that is kind of what it turns out to be.
Hmm.
But I guess the point I wanted to make was just that we have two ghosts that aren't exactly aligned in what they want, which I
Classic
think
ghost.
is, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, but
remember
ghosts
thinking at the
don't think
time
and
that they would be
talk.
more unified.
No, they don't think into. They're not like in a union. They don't have regular meetings.
It's
They're
like
just
why did Isabella care about the man in black? Like she never even like it just
she
doesn't
cared.
make
Well,
sense.
she cared about Richard. She was there for Richard, right? And to
How
get
does she
rid
even
of.
know though? Like she wasn't even on the island. Like, see, that's why I think it's Isabella that made me think like the ghosts have secret knowledge. Cause like she knew stuff that like there's no way she could have had just from her life.
Because she was probably Man in Black.
And she was Man in Black. Oh boy. That's the extra level.
Yeah, that's probably why. Because that's why he was in the corner hanging out across the field.
See, I feel like that works better, except for like there's two things. Like one, she says stop the man in black. Two, only Hurley can see her. Which shouldn't be true for a man in black apparition. And he's supposedly stuck that way.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about
Like,
that.
but I feel like that explanation works better overall.
Hmm.
It, it's kind of a mess.
It is a bit messy. But overall, the episode was about as bad as I remembered.
Yeah, this is definitely. I'm gonna say. I mean, we'll see going forward, but I think this one might be like peak. You know, nothing happening kind of episodes.
Hmm.
Like they really all they did was shuffle characters around a bit. Like they didn't really push any serious plot points. It was like Desmond, you go to the well. Jack, Curly, son, you go over here. Like Richard, you go over there. That was it.
Yeah, I think the Hurley thing is weird with him like trying to take charge and lead the group, but his thought was, well, we should just talk to Man in Black about what now? I guess the options were we don't want him to leave. Jacob basically said he shouldn't leave. The options are to talk to him or go blow up the plane. Then Hurley's like, well, I'm going to get rid of all the dynamite so we can't blow up the plane
Right.
because maybe he's thinking they need the plane to leave the island.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
but
They don't know about the sub. That's Sawyer's secret plan. We're gonna take the sub.
yeah. So yeah, just trying to think through. Yeah. So then, and then he's like, hey, let's just talk to him. So what is he going to talk to him about? Like, hey, man, don't kill us.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is, I don't think he even really talked. Like, what did he even say? He said like two lines. Let's see. I think it was. We have to talk to you. And then he's just like, give your word you won't hurt us, and then like that's it. I guess they're gonna pick that up in the next episode. If I remember right, he doesn't really talk to Hurley. He mostly just talks to Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Hurley's role is just to be a kind of intermediary arbiter or something like that. Like, I'll just bring together a meeting of these two and let them work it out or something. It isn't clear that he has a plan for why. Like, oh, let's go talk to him because I guess it's better than like trying to fight him or something. Like, maybe fighting the smoke monster seems too hard. I don't know. He didn't really explain why he wanted to do that. It was just like it's less dangerous than playing around with dynamite and blowing up the plane, but it's like I don't even know that that's clear. Like, it's a smoke monster. Like, he could
Mm-hmm.
kill you all. I mean, theoretically, they don't know about the rules.
They don't know about the rules because the rules don't exist.
And even with the rules, exactly. Like, maybe he could just do it anyway. Like, he's
Isn't it
only
awesome
not doing it.
how Alana was not a candidate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Jacob's
Yeah.
daughter is not good enough.
Alana's death is so disappointing. It's like, what was all that for? Like, and Ben's like, oh, the island was done with her. Like, really?
They're
What did the
okay.
island do exactly? Like,
Mhm.
I
And
don't
again,
know.
he's not even saying Jacob; he's saying the island.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Yeah.
what does that mean now?
Yeah, yeah. They're still like stuck on that old school, like talking about the island as a consciousness, and
Mhm.
yet that it does seem like they're just all wrong. Like every
Yeah.
time we thought it was that, it was really Jacob or the Man in Black, basically.
Hmm.
So I just think, yeah,
Or
and like Ben
or
should know
or
that by
or a
now.
random occurrence.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ghosts or some other shit. Or yeah, just misinterpretation,
Hmm.
misplaced meaning, blah blah blah. There's all the usual reasons. So yeah, just that's like a throwaway line to try to like add, I don't know, intrigue to her death or something. But it really feels to me like what they did to Alana is kind of like what they did to the Black Rock. It's just like, no, that wasn't the island. It was the writers. They were done with her, and so I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll blow you up, I guess. I just wish she had
Yeah.
gotten to do something,
It,
you
but yeah, I
know?
was gonna say, what if Hurley had convinced her to blow up the Black Rock, and she died trying to save them, and by her
Mm-hmm.
going to Black Rock, it'd be nice if it was for a reason and that she actually had accomplished something. Wasn't she like too late to everything? Like every
Yeah.
time she showed up, like it was like too late to do anything. Like
Yep.
she like wasn't like, oh no, like I think there was one time she showed up and she got to reveal that it lock wasn't locked to a few people, and then like that
Oh yeah.
was like her main contribution.
Right.
But everything like she didn't protect Jacob.
Nope. No,
She
you're totally right. From the moment she gets there, it's like she's like too late, Alana.
yeah,
Because like she goes to the cabin, it's like, oh, he hasn't been
she
here
already
a long
left.
time.
Yep,
Oops.
gone. Yep, yep. Step one, late.
And then by the time they get to the statue, Jacob's already dead. And
Yep.
it's like they get to deliver the message, but it's like it's kind of too late for it to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one really does anything concrete, and most of the others end up just following him anyway. So it's like,
Yep.
what good did that do? She gets to the temple in the middle of the attack, like doesn't really
Yeah.
prevent it. She gets like one
She
or
gets
two
there.
of them.
She gets there in time to flee.
Yeah,
Like
gets there in
that
time
was
to
the
flee.
weirdest thing where they show up just in time to like run away from everything. I was like, okay, guys, that was weird. We
It
should just
was
go
really weird.
outside.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they
Yeah,
just
so
thought
she
it
was
was
too late.
too.
Yeah, she was too late at the temple.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what?
And then I feel like she's just been sitting around at the camp ever since then, so she hasn't had a chance to be too late yet. And she like maybe would have been too late to the plane or something, but she blew up first.
Yeah, that's real late. She was forever late.
But that is the story of the character. And I guess, I get why they don't want to have her like have this big showdown. It's like she's like this new character and they don't want it to be like Alana versus the Man in Black, but on the other hand, it's like that is kind of her purpose. So I just I just
Hmm.
think it's weird that she doesn't really get to
Yeah,
do
wasn't she like
much.
Picard? Ricardus will know, and Richard had no clue what to do. It
Hmm.
was just like everything. It's like Jacob set her up for failure. It was so weird.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing he told her was that, yeah, meet me at the cabin. I'll be there.
Didn't work.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, the first thing was wrong. Yeah, Ricard. Oh, didn't he have any problems? Ricardus will know what to do. Ricardus was like, huh? Who me?
Huh?
Yeah, yeah. It was.
And then his big plan of like blowing up the plane is the reason she has the dynamite and ends up blowing up. So it's just
Hmm.
like, thanks, Jacob.
Oh,
Well,
that's what Ricardus knew what to do was to how to blow her up.
that's what I didn't tell you, Alana. You're supposed to blow up then.
Yeah, that's what I really. That's the favor I need from you is to blow up at a specific time. Um, Maybe that's what he needed. He was like, because that'll motivate Hurley to take charge. You know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
especially considering when we meet Alana, she's in bandages, seeming like from her training or from some
Mm-hmm.
previous favor he
Yeah,
asked. You know,
yeah, yeah. Walking through a minefield or something? Yeah, I have no
something
idea what that
crazy.
shit was. That was crazy. It hints at stuff that I feel like they have no follow through on. I definitely wish we could have seen more of that Alana, as this
Yeah.
like badass warrior or something. I Yeah, I'm really tempted to say that I feel that the most disappointing thing about season 6 is not the fact that they don't answer certain questions from, the past of the show, which is not to say this without disappointment, but I feel like the biggest disappointment is just the plot development. Like it's so
Hmm.
sketchy. Like on a character level and on a, just basic story level. It's like they have all these characters, they're just like sitting around, they don't accomplish much and then they die.
Hmm.
The characters have motivations that they don't really explain or justify or whatever. Like they just like say stuff and do stuff until
Saying
they're
it's like
done.
life, where we sit
When
around
you frame it that way,
being ineffective and then we're dead.
it feels so lacking in purpose.
Hmm.
Like there's no plan or reason behind it all. Like it's
Hmm.
all just
Hmm.
like people trying to do things and failing and then dying.
The show.
Yeah, I think the Man in Black stuff, Jacob, all that, basic plot stuff just should have
Hmm.
been much better, like explained,
It
handled,
should have been,
etc.
yeah, because I mean the whole thing, right? The whole thing about their game that they're playing, the wager,
Mm-hmm.
that should have come to fruition.
Yep.
Jacob was wrong. This is why I'm gonna win, or Jacob was right, or Man in Black was wrong. This is why Jacob's gonna win,
Mm-hmm.
and it, yeah, it actually mean, yeah. There's just so many threads with these characters that they didn't connect. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's
yeah.
such a grandiose idea that, like, okay, I didn't love the ending of Battlestar Galactica, and spoiler alert, everyone, if you haven't seen it, um, just fast forward a few seconds, I'll get to it pretty quickly. Um, the ending wasn't great, but what I will give them is that, they start out with these angels or whatever, giving these messages to people. And, then at the end, they have the angels like discussing humanity. So they bring it
Yeah,
back to
there's
this
a conclusion.
cosmic like point of, the future of humanity, the cycle of humanity, or whatever.
Hmm.
And so they do at least like, put a bow on what was sort of the cosmic point of the show, and it just, yeah, Lost never did that. It feels like once they moved on to, no, the point isn't like, is humanity good or not, like that's just like a side thing they had. The real point is Man in Black wants to leave and Jacob won't let him, which is way less interesting.
Well, it should have been, what is the answer should have been, the question about humanity being good or bad is not a relevant question. That's what the show really wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think them putting a bow on it, their version was the whole um, spiritual omni religious ending of all faiths being sort of
Mm-hmm.
and sort of. I think in the Battlestar is an interesting example because I think they're also tried to connect the fictional world of Lost with the real world,
Right.
with the concept of the afterlife and religions and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Uh,
Ooh,
Edit that out.
me too.
That was my first sneeze in a podcast in 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, thought I was gonna make it without one, but
Mark it down. Podcast
yeah,
196. Not bad.
195 podcasts with no sneeze, and then one with one. Uh, yeah. So I think that's how I see Lost going, where it's like they decided to be very general at the end instead of, but they could have been more general with that theme of the game with Man in Black and Jacob, and said, yeah, actually, dude, like people just do things, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can all call things good or bad. That's not even the point. Someone could
Right.
have said that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess, yeah, with the angels, like it's easier to, you know, have them just appear wherever and like start talking like,
Hmm.
you know, it would have been awkward for Jacob and Ben in Black to show up in the flash sideways in the church and be like, ah, yes, this proves either we were asking the wrong question or I was right and you were wrong or whatever they want to say, you know?
Hmm.
Like it just would have been strange to have them show up. It would have raised all these. I get why they didn't want to do that, but yeah, I do think they should have addressed it somehow, and it should have tied together more with what the point is. I just
Yeah.
feel like they should have picked a lane. Like is that the main axis of conflict or is it the leaving? You know,
Hmm.
because if it's just about the leaving, I feel like they shouldn't even have brought up the debate because they don't really do
Well,
enough
the
with it.
debate is about why did people come to the island, but then they want to drop it and just
Right,
about why Man in Black can't leave. So
right.
that's the problem. Is one the debate was just for one particular part of the story instead of it
Right,
being
but then
ran
doesn't matter
like the
anymore.
whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess
but
that's
it
the
should have
other
been.
thing.
Yeah, it could have been. Hey, if you win, I said this before. If you win the game, I'll let you leave. Right. So then he's motivated to. He's a whole bunch of things could happen then,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that could have been the thing where, okay, Jacob, if you are so sure about the nature of humanity, then let me leave if I can prove you wrong or
Mhm.
whatever. And it's like, okay, now his leaving is tied into the result of the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely would have been a better way to tie it together. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess in general, like the place where they get at the end of the show, they sort of do it with new man in charge and Walt and stuff, but they don't quite transition to the idea of like, sort of passing the torch of are we still bringing people to the island? And if so, why? Because like what you're saying, like the debate was the reason they were bringing people, Jacob specifically was bringing people to the island
Hmm.
to prove the man in black wrong. It's like that was the whole reason. So it's like if you're going to take over for him, you don't have to continue that, right? The man in black's dead. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, he's just supposed to protect the island now,
yeah, yeah. So you like,
which Jacob wasn't really doing.
right. Not very
Jacob
well.
was bringing people to the island, which doesn't protect it.
Indeed. Indeed. Didn't do the best job.
Well, he had a crazy mother, so.
Fair point. Fair point.
All right, dude. Well, until next time, huh?
Yeah, I
We're
think
almost
so.
at the end.
It was mediocre. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, not everybody loves Hugo.
I think we will hopefully. I feel like after this one, things start picking up a bit, and we move on from this moving people around phase.
Hmm.
So I'm excited for that. We're really getting into like Act Three end game kind of stuff here.
Yeah, the last recruit and the candidate. Yep. Hmm.
So Yeah, I think that we just had to get through this one, and then we can, yeah, then we can complain about the late stuff or praise it.
One or the other.
You'll
It
see.
won't be a secret third option you don't see coming.
Never. We don't do that. We're not shufflers.
Mm-mm. All right. Till next time. Thanks to Namaste.
Namaste and good luck.